Okay, guys, welcome back to a new season. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that I'm saying this. We completely rebranded the Part You Play to Pursuing You podcast, and I am so excited to just tell you guys why we did that and really just the heart behind it. And yeah, I am so excited. I have never really released a solo episode. I've recorded a few, but I just don't know. Solo episodes, I feel like, aren't really my thing. I feel like you definitely are just getting out of your comfort zone when you record a solo episode. But I am just so excited because I have so many life updates. I want to talk to you guys today all about just moving to a brand new city, what that looks like, what you need, and just like practical ways on how to build healthy habits, like morning routines, and just things that I feel like I've implemented in my life and have really just changed the way I do life and just like have really helped my mental health to just, I don't know. I feel like in the past, I used to be someone who would leave everything for last minute. And I didn't realize how that was really affecting me until I started taking control of my mornings. And now I feel I literally feel like a new person just because I've implemented just these small habits that have really helped me. And yeah, I'm literally so excited. Today, we are going to also be hitting on topics of why I believe everyone should at least move out of their hometown at least once in your life. Like, guys, I have done it twice now. And when I tell you, I have never grown more than when I left my hometown. Like, it is crazy. I just moved to Dallas about 6 months ago, believe. Yeah, it's April. Whoa, oh my goodness. So no, 5 months ago, basically. Which feels like a lifetime ago. You really, when you move to a new city, just really be intentional on who you're surrounding yourself with. You have to literally step out of your comfort zone, and that's why I always say moving out of your hometown is literally a game changer because of how I've seen it grow me in so many exponential ways. Um, Literally, I remember I was with a friend like a couple months back and we were going to go grab coffee. And we're grabbing coffee and Tart is having a literal event outside of the coffee shop. And guys, like this is also, which is crazy to me, this was not happening in West Palm Beach. Like these brands, like Dallas right now is such a hot city to be in, whether you're a young adult, a new business, an entrepreneur, literally anything. Like Dallas is just the place to be. Dallas, Austin, LA, New York City, Miami, but really Dallas, like the amount of brands and just people that I've been able to connect with and just learn from like has been insane. But it's because I have decided to step out of my comfort zone to, ask someone to coffee or even just like go to new workout classes, which to me at first was so petrifying because I was just using ClassPass and realized like this is not sponsored by ClassPass at all. But I love ClassPass because you can try out all these new classes, especially, okay, whether you live in a new city or you don't, I definitely recommend ClassPass to anyone who is trying to just be in this new, healthy era that we like to call. I just feel like, yeah, I don't even know why I hit on that, but I just feel like not enough people know about ClassPass. So that's why I wanted to plug that. But yeah, so I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about I want to be real with you guys, and I want to talk to you guys about like what the past months have actually looked like and the reality of them. And because I feel like social media is such a lie, and I never want to be that person that makes people think that like my life is perfect and then I have it all figured out and that, you know, oh, how is she doing this and all of that. Like my life is literally like, it's so true when people say they only post the highlights. You really only see the highlights of someone's life. Like you don't actually get to see like what they're actually going through, how much I've been missing my family, and just like my friends in general, like especially just being in a new city. That is something that is so real and it's so okay to feel because I mean, that's just reality. Like you have your people, you know who your people are, and don't get me wrong, I have people that I absolutely love with my entire being in Dallas, but I think it's also one of those things where we just, you know, like don't I feel like sometimes we don't actually get to sit with our feelings and we're like, oh wait, like how do I actually feel? And we try to drown our feelings in something else, whether it's work, whether it's alcohol, whatever it is we do. And we try to suppress them. And I just want to be super vulnerable on here today and just really share how I've been feeling and just a lot of other things. Back in November, when I wasn't sure if I was going to move to Dallas yet, I found out that my mom was getting really sick. So I flew to Jersey. This was actually in October. I flew to Jersey. I spent 2 weeks with her, you know, just taking care of her. She's literally like my rock, aside from God. Love you, God, but she is also literally my rock. Anyways, back to November. So in November, I just felt, I want to be careful with how I say, like, I felt God wanted me to move to Dallas, but, it was one of those things where I just really felt it heavy. Like, it's one of those things you really can't get off your mind, like, as much as you try, you know? And I was like, you know what, if I don't move now, I feel like I'm never going to move because I'm just going to stay in Jersey. I'm going to get comfy, or I'm going to stay in Florida and I'm going to get comfy. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this big leap of faith and move to a brand new city 1,000 miles away again, because I had already done that 4 years prior. But it has single-handedly been the best decision I have ever done. Like literally the best decision in the world because of just the people that I've gotten to work with, my network. Like literally when people say like your net worth is your network, like it's so true. And it's crazy too, because I feel like sometimes if you're in high school and you're listening to this, please listen to, like, if there's one thing you get out of this podcast, please listen to this. Like, I remember feeling like a failure because I didn't love doing school. Like, I loved being in school because of the people. I loved my teachers. I loved, my friends and just being with them, but I hated doing school. And, I just thought that, like the valedictorians and all of them, like they're going to reach like such high point in life and be the happiest and all of this. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I hope that everyone that I went to high school with is doing great things, but that is just so far from the truth. Like you are not what your grades say you are. Like you can't let other things define you. And I think that's also why I have realized, because I've tried doing life with and without God, and I have realized that, if my identity is in anything other than God, I will literally fail. Like I'm a failure, Like if I start comparing, like comparison is the thief of joy. And so you can't be comparing yourself. So if there's one thing you take from this podcast, it's that, like, if you feel like you're far behind, you are not. Like God has you right where he wants you. And if you don't understand why you're going through the things that you're going through, one day you will. I mean, I could sit here and share my testimony again. And I shared this, like a couple, this was, I think, on my second episode that I had ever posted ever. I shared what my testimony was. So if you want to go listen to that, you can. But I went through some really hard things growing up, and I could have taken that and lived in this victimized mindset. But by the grace of God, I literally look at my life and I'm like, if it weren't for those things, I wouldn't be the woman I am today. And I'm so grateful that I think that way, because I remember I just used to carry all these burdens that God had never designed for us to carry. And it's just been so sweet to see how God really redeems all of that. A couple weeks ago, my mentor, Hannah Granowski, was in town, and we went to an amazing, so we actually went to 2 conferences, but we went to a second conference, a students, like a girls, middle school, high school girls conference. And I remember that morning, I got a really hard call. My little sister called me, and she was like, Mom's not doing well. And they were in Colombia, but she was like, Mom's not doing well. I really don't know what to do. Mind you, I have a little sister. It's not like she's like older than me or anything. Like, this poor girl going through all these different scary, scared of the unknown even. But she calls me, tells me what's going on, something with her ovaries, and I was just devastated, because I feel like that's even an idol that I've had in my life is, oh my gosh, I don't want my mom to die before this or before that, before I have grandkids, before I get married. And don't get me wrong, I think, like, no one wants your parents to pass at a young age. But I just remember feeling like this overwhelming, like, oh my goodness, like, what am I going to do if my mom's not okay? What am I going to, like, I'm not even there to help her. Mind you, this was like a few weeks ago. Like, I am living in the city and I'm trying to figure things out. And, I'm like, oh my gosh, wait. And I think the first thing I did was I prayed for my little sister. I was like, listen, everything is going to be okay. Like, we need to trust God. First of all, like, we need to trust that he is going to take care of her. We just need to trust in his plan and know that his plans are greater than what we could ever think or imagine or fathom. And I remember talking to my mom, and she is just not doing well. She sounded like back in November. And so I hung up and I hyperventilated, crying. I just remember just crying out to God, being like, God, like, this can't be happening. Like, I don't know how to feel. And mind you, like, I know I'm not really telling you guys, like, what's going on, because we still really don't know. So I don't want to share anything where I'm like, I don't really know what it is. But she just does not know how to rest, to put it that way. And she's just, because she doesn't know how to rest, her body doesn't rest. She doesn't rest ever. And so all that to say, that night of the conference, I could have gone into that conference like, I'm the one that needs prayer. Like, does God even see me? And I feel like sometimes when certain things happen to us, we take that and we're like, oh, see, look at God, like, God's like, see, like, God's not even there. Like, God's like, what? Like, and we take things and we just start questioning God because of the circumstances that we're facing. And that just can't, and this is why it's so important to have a relationship with God, because that's not the way that it works with him, like, he wants us to talk to him, regardless if we're frustrated at him. Like, he doesn't want us to completely shut down and be like, all right, well, clearly you're not there. I'm going to head out now. Like, no, like that would be like if I only went to God whenever I needed something. And I mean, that used to be a reality. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I would be like, God, if I can just find my iPod because my mom's going to kill me, I will like I will never do anything bad ever again. And like, that is just not the way it works, you know? So, and also just living in like this victimized mindset will not get you anywhere. It will not help you in any sort of way, literally ever. Like, if I constantly was like, oh my gosh, now this happened, I'd be walking around shoulders down, pouting my life away. No one would want to be my friend. Like, I just don't know what my life would look like if I lived that way. Like, I genuinely know that when things happen, you have to know how to cope with them. And like, you have to have a healthy way of coping with them. Like, for me, it's working out. Like, I have realized that if I don't work out in the morning, I just am not the same person, and I do things differently. I have more brain fog. I have low energy. Like, I mean, yeah, like the mental clarity is crazy, but it's also like, I know that it really starts by like the small things. And I honestly want to just say, like, if you haven't read this book, I recommend it tremendously. Atomic Habits, or even The Power of One. Just read one of those two and like get back to me. Like, I absolutely adore those books. But anyways, so I keep getting off topic, which I'm like trying not to, but I feel like because I've never done a solo episode, I feel like I kind of have to like explain everything that has been going on. Well, not everything that's been going on, but just like what my life has looked like the past couple of months, because I don't want to leave you guys clueless or anything. So that night I'm at this conference. I'm with Hannah and one of our friends, Tessia, and I just remember feeling like this feeling that God wanted me to pray for the person behind me. Mind you, there was an entire row of people behind us. So I'm like, God, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, turn around and be like, who needs prayer? You know, I didn't want to do that because I knew that those girls were in high school. If they were in middle school, I think I would have done it, but they weren't. So I just remember feeling it more and more, and the conference had just ended, and I was like, okay, well, I gotta do it right now. And so I turn around and I'm like, and there's literally just one girl standing right behind me, and she's in a puddle of tears, and I'm like, hey, I feel like God really wants me to pray for you. And she is like, yes, please, like, I need it. And so we step off to the side because we were in a conversation with Hannah, and I just really just turned around, and I didn't even like tell them or ask them. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do this. And so I'm praying for her. She's like a sophomore in high school, going through body dysmorphia, and, you know, just really just struggling with identity and like confidence. And I remember just praying for her and really just seeing how when you are obedient to God, and how, you know, again, I could have gone into that night like, I'm the one who needs prayer. I'm the one who needs this. Like, my mom's going through this. Who's going to pray for me? But I decided to pray for someone else, and that blessed me so much. Like, knowing that, yeah, I might be going through things, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to turn away from God, who has literally done so much for me, guys. Like, I literally could not even imagine what my life would look like. Seriously, what my life would look like without him. And that's why, you know, I just like, how am I not going to share a story like this, you know? Because I feel like there's times where God speaks to us and he's like, hey, like, I want you to do this. And we're like, Like, why would I do that? God, or we try to be like Moses. Like, we try to say, oh wait, I'm not qualified enough to do this. Like, Moses was not qualified to you know to preach, to he was not qualified to do any of the things that God called him to do. But God equips the qualified. Like, God equips the called. Sorry. God equips the called. And that is just a reminder. Like, if you needed to hear this today, like, I strongly believe, like, if you feel like there's been something in your heart that you're like, I really want to do this, and I feel like God wants me to do this, but you haven't taken that leap of faith, go do it. Like, go do it. And I'm serious, God will help you along the way. Like, if you truly feel like it is from the Lord, and it is also like biblical too, because I don't want to say, oh yeah, like God wants me to go do crazy things. Like, no, like, clearly not. Like, that lie from the enemy. But yeah, no, like, if you really feel like God is calling you to something, whether it's to transfer schools, whether it's to move to a new city, whether it's to start a new job, literally go do it. God will, and ask him, be like, Lord, would you swing the doors wide open of where you want me to step into, and would you close the doors where you don't want me in? And that is seriously such a hard prayer, because God is so quick to do it. Same thing with, oh God, would you just remove the people that are meant to be in my life? God is literally like, okay, got you. Those friends that are distracting you from just unleashing like your full potential and holding you back from actually doing the things that God has called you to do. He'll be like, okay, got you. I tell my little sister all the time, like, sometimes God will give you the option to close a door. And when we are not when we are not obedient to that, he will have that person or that thing close the door for us. So God's like, God, and I believe this so firmly because I have seen it so many times in my life where I'm like, I really just don't feel like this job is for me. And, a month will go by and God's like, if you won't do it, I will. Like, I will. So, and he does. And then, like, either, I'll get fired or whatever. Like, not that I'll get fired, but same thing with a friendship. Like, I remember just so many times where I thought to myself, I was like, this really just is not a good friend. But I was so petrified of actually having that conversation with them, or, ending a friendship, because I was trying to, like, I didn't want to hurt anyone, that, it ended up being worse because that person was like, oh, well, I don't want to be friends with you before I even got to say anything. And then you're like, wait, what? Like, so I really do feel like you need to be obedient when God is calling you to do something. Okay, so I'm going to talk about why I actually moved from Florida to Dallas, and what prompted that, and why I'm here, and what I'm doing. So basically, I came to Dallas for the first time last March in 2023, and I loved it. A lot of people are always like, why would you move from Florida, like West Palm Beach, beautiful, 5-minute walk from the beach, like all these different things, to Dallas, Texas, where like the nearest beach is like a 7-hour drive away. And honestly, don't get me wrong, I miss Florida so much. Not that I would do anything to go back, but I would do anything to have both, like the community, the people, the leadership, the churches, the conferences. I feel like God has me here for a reason. It's almost, I've always said, like, I feel like Dallas is like a preparation season for something bigger. I don't know what that looks like. Not even like bigger, because I don't want to say bigger, because I feel like the things that I have seen and the people that I have met, and just within my short amount of time here, like, I'm not going to say that it's like that God has something bigger for me, but I feel like this isn't like where I'm going to be long term. And I don't really know how long I'll actually be here. But I feel like for now, like where I'm at in life, I have never felt just so at peace with where I'm at. And I've never felt so at peace in the sense of I feel like I'm right where I'm supposed to be. I feel like God has me right where he wants me. I feel like these past couple of months have been all about trusting him, honestly. And like, guys, I moved here with no job. Like, I intended to move here with no job. And I remember the week before I was supposed to move here, I got a message through Airbnb of someone that I had worked with in the past. Or actually, I think it was like someone that like I almost did a collaboration with, like through Airbnb. And they were like, hey, I don't know if you actually ended up moving to Dallas, but would love to talk with you about social media marketing we need for a wedding company or like a wedding venue. And mind you, I didn't have to move a finger for that to happen. And don't get me wrong, the Lord has seen, like, I have struggled in the past. Like, I feel like last year was really my year where, like, I remember walking into last year, I really did not know what my life would look like a year from today, like a year from then. And like, even today, I really don't know what my life will look like a year from now. But what I want to tell you is that that's okay, because I know that there are people right now listening to this that also feel the same exact way. And that's why I feel so joyful that I get to do this, that I get to share my story, my testimony, and just remind you that that is okay. Like, you do not have to have it all figured out. And I am preaching to the choir right now because I stress myself out a lot because I don't know what the next few months are going to look like. Or because, you know, every year I have this thing where I write down 100 of my goals that I have for the year. And I do this every year, you know. I mean, I've done this literally for the past like 5 years. And this year I have tried, I think I tried literally 2 weeks ago, to sit down again and write down the goals that I have for this year, and literally nothing. And my one and only thing that I've written down is that God would lead me right where it is that he wants me. And I promise you, that stressed me out for the longest time, because, you know, if you know anything about Enneagrams, I am a 7. Sorry, not a 7. I'm a 3. I'm an achiever. And I like to see visually what I am working towards. Like, what am I going to achieve this year? Like, like that helps me just feel productive and like have something that I'm working towards. And when I don't have that, guys, like, I kid you not, I went into like a mental spiral because I was freaking out. I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do this upcoming, like literally these next couple of just months. Like, what, like I literally don't know. And I had to sit down and be like, you know what? It's okay to not know. It's okay. It's okay to not have it all figured out. I mean, I'm also like 22 years old, and I sometimes forget my age because I feel like I've lived like 5 lifetimes. But I have to still remind myself, like, it is okay. Like, there are so many passions that I have. There's so many new things that I recently learned that I'm good at. Like, I love event planning. And I like truly love it. I was doing these events for an influencer here in Dallas, and I fell in love with it. And it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, wait, am I going to go into event planning? Like, is this like a new calling that I have? Like that. And then I also want to get into real estate. And then like, there's so many things. And something I really wanted to talk about on today's episode is playing it safe. Our parents played it so safe, and they engraved it in our minds, that there was only one path and one path to get there. And I'm so grateful that when I was a sophomore in high school, I listened to Jay Shetty. Shout out Jay Shetty. I know that he's a little controversial right now, but I remember watching this video about Jay Shetty, and it was like this video where he got up and he gave a speech to a graduating class, and he's like, I'd like to say that all of your guys' paths are going to look the same. Like, you're going to graduate when you're 18, you're going to graduate college when you're 21, you're going to find your dream job at 22, and then you're going to find your spouse at 25, and then you're going to settle down and have kids by 27 and buy a house by 30. But that is not the reality. The reality is we are all on our different paths called life, like our different journeys, and all of our lives are going to look so differently. Like, someone that doesn't go to college is going to find what they love at 19. Someone who graduates college at 21 isn't going to find an actual job till they're 25. Like, there's so many things that I feel like because of our parents, we hold back and we play it safe. And we're like, you know what? I want to make them happy. And don't get me wrong. As someone who literally, my mother came to this country with a literal suitcase. And when I told her that I was dropping out of college, she could not believe it. Like, because she has worked so hard to give me the life that I have. And I just remember that was like the hardest thing. It wasn't even deciding that I didn't want to continue college. It was making that phone call and letting her know, like, hey, this is like what's gonna go down. Like, I don't want to finish school because I felt like I was wasting my time. I was literally in these entrepreneurial classes at a private school where I was paying to go. And mind you, I had a good scholarship. It was great. But I was like, what am I doing? Like, some of my professors don't even own a business, and they're over here preaching about businesses. Like, what? Like, we are literally learning from a textbook. Why would I want to be here? And I decided to just drop out, and that meant that I'm gonna have to figure stuff out and figure things out for myself. And I knew that there was just something greater. And I know for a fact, especially with what I have, the things that I have seen, the people that I've worked with the past couple of months, if I would have stayed in college, none of this would have ever happened. Like, I would not be in proximity to the people that I am in proximity with if I would have stayed in school. If I would have just been like, you know what, I'm just going to make my mom happy. Like, life is literally too short to sit here and try to make other people happy, and other people, like, you cannot live for man's approval. Like, whether it's your parents, whether it's grandparents, whether it's whoever it is, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, like, you cannot live your life trying to win approval from others. Like, you will end up so miserable and depressed and lonely if you live your life that way. If you live your life trying to be validated by others, like, it is just not the way to go. And so I'll tell you guys this, like, when I called my mom telling her that I was going to move to Dallas, it wasn't like, hey, what do you think about this? I had to seek wise counsel, and literally my mother was one of the last people that I told, because I knew what her reaction would be. I knew that her reaction would literally be like, and not that she's not supportive. I think parents are very supportive, and sometimes we get that mixed up with, oh my gosh, why isn't she supporting me in this? They want what's best for you. And sometimes they just don't know what that is because they only know the safe route. Like, I mean, I was talking about it with someone who's older the other day. Like, this generation, they rather make less money, but be happy and be at a place where they're mentally just not drained rather than making a ton of money and miserable. I was in that. Like, that was me. I worked 9 to 6 at a corporate job, and I could have not been more miserable. And I was making the most money that I have ever made in my life or, ever seen. And I just remember being like this. And, I think because of the money, like, we get distracted and we're like, oh my goodness, like, this is awesome, whatever. Like, in my mind, I was like, you know what? I'm here. I'm just going to sacrifice a lot of other things. You can't hang out with friends as much. You can't. And I was trying to do all of it. Like, I was trying to have a social life. I was trying to work this job. I was trying to go to church on Sundays. And it was just destructive because I did not take care of myself, did not take care of my home, did not take care of anything. Like, it was just so, like, it was just not the way to be living. And so if you have something or someone who has been holding you back from really, again, like, taking that step to being like, you know what, this is what I've been wanting to do for so long. I'm going to do it. Go do it. You will not regret it. And please, if you have any questions of moving out of state, and like more practical advice, I'd love to sit down and actually give you guys practical advice. I'm trying to make this like an episode where I really, like, I talk to you guys, but I also give you guys advice. So if you guys want like an actual, like, step by step, like what you actually need, like, practically, I'd love to create that for you. So I also want to talk about tips that I would give my younger self. And so these are just some things that if I think, okay, where was I a year, 2 years ago? This is just some tips that I would give myself. And like, I get a little emotional because if my younger self knew where I would be today, she would be smiling. And if you don't feel like that, I promise you that it gets better. Just I promise you. And as someone who has suffered with depression, anxiety, all of that, please don't give up. Like, there is more to your story. Like, I always like to say, I love to say, if you're still here, God's not done. Like, God's not done with you. And I just really felt the need to say that. But what I do want to say is, do not be afraid to fail. Like, that is everything that your 20s is for. Try new things. Go on that trip. Like, if that means that I don't know. I feel like sometimes people get so obsessive with, oh my gosh, my retirement. Like, how do I invest for my retirement? And it's like, I'm sorry. That is just not me. That is just not me. I hope that my husband is that way for our sake. But like, I really think that is important. It is so crucial to not just live in the moment, but to just risk your life. Like, not risk your life, but just literally, if you have a strong desire to do something, to travel to a new country, go do it. And I know that, like, some people might be like, Bella, well, that's not really that practical. Like, I mean, I'm trying to save up for this, or I don't have the money to. And it's like I get that. Like, I know that, some things are expensive to go do. Like, it's expensive to go travel to a new country. But, I mean, we pick what it is we want to spend our money on, because I feel like there's people who are like, oh my gosh, I really want to travel. And then I see them, drinking every single weekend, going to nice dinners, doing all of this. So it's like, you don't actually want to travel. Like, you don't actually want to go do that. Because if you did, you would start saving. Like you would start being like, okay, wait, I want to do this, so I'm going to save up for it. Because I feel like there's a lot of people, I mean, I see this all the time. I have friends who are like, oh my gosh, I really want a boyfriend, but they're not even being intentional with one single guy. Like they are just hooking up with different guys. Mind you, when I say hooking up, I don't mean having sex, but more so just, making out with random guys at the bar or going on a ton of dates every week. And don't get me wrong, I think, depending on the season of life that you're in, you can do that. Like you can go have fun, like whatever. If that's your thing, go do that. But don't sit here and say, oh, like I want a boyfriend. Like, no, you don't. Like that's a lie. Like if you did, you would be acting like you did. Like you would be intentional with the one guy that's taking you on the date. You wouldn't be trying to seek out other people, So I think like really watching what you say and taking that and being like, you know what? If I want to do something, I'm going to do it. But how am I going to get there? And finding people, like, guys, I cannot stress this enough. Like finding people that have done life and like are ahead of you, like not just age wise, but with like you look up to them. Like they are people where you're like, you know what? Like I really want my life to look like theirs. Like I look up to their marriage. I look up to what they're doing. I look up to the fact that they have a nonprofit. I look up to the fact that they own a business that I would love to one day own, but I have no idea how I'm going to get there. Surround yourself with those people. Like it is one of those things. And don't get me wrong. Again, like you can't be thinking this of Jay Shetty, like obviously that is not someone that you can actually surround yourself with. But I just like being more practical. Like, okay, like who in, my county can I look up on LinkedIn and be like, hey, wait, like I'd love to chat. I'd love to go to coffee. If you had any time to just talk about your real estate company, your X, Y, and Z, and really just be intentional with who you are surrounding yourself with, because you are the average of your 5 friends. And don't get me wrong, I know you've probably heard that so many times, but it is so true. Like who you surround yourself with plays the biggest part in who you become. It's literally all in the small things. And I just want to say, like, yeah, do not be afraid to fail. Like, if I was afraid of failing, like, I don't think I would be in Dallas. Like, if I'm being truthful. Like, if I just thought, oh my gosh, I never want to fail in life. Like, God, please don't let that happen. Guys, like, come on. Like, it is my first time living. Like, of course I'm going to fail. And I have to fall in love with that process of failing. And not to say, oh yeah, I'm going to fail. But like, when you fail, you say, okay, wait, so that didn't work. What can I do differently that will work? And you start finding, okay, wait, and you start falling in love with the process. Like, I don't know if I've been listening to too much of Kobe Bryant's just like speeches, but like seriously falling in love with the process is so important. And again, like finding something that you are passionate about is just as equally as important. Like you do not want to be walking into a job for the next 40 years of your life that you're going to hate. Like life is too short for that. And whatever, you might be making 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever, a month. It is not worth it. I mean, hey, I feel like guys operate way differently than girls do. In the sense of, okay, well, I'm just going to do this job because I'm whatever. But truthfully, when you give, again, goes back to giving your desires to God, and you're like, God, well, this is what I want to do. Is this what you want me to do? I feel like sometimes we give a list of things that, we want in our life, and we're like, okay, God, can you just sign it off at the bottom. Just make sure everything looks great. Like, we don't even ask him, make sure everything looks great. We're just like, yeah, just sign everything at the bottom right there and I'll be good to go. Like, no, we don't even ask him, like, hey, like, is this actually what you want for my life? Like, is this actually what you have called me to do? So yeah, that's so important to really just sit down and be like, okay, is this actually what I'm meant to be doing in my life? Is this actually, like, am I reading this wrong? Am I about to make a dumb decision? Like, I feel like sometimes we go and we vent to everyone. We tell all of our friends our problems. We tell our parents, we tell our best friends, we tell guys that we like, girls that we like. And then God is literally last. And it's like, why? Why is he last? And don't get me wrong, again, preaching to the choir, because I do this all the time. But I've been learning on how to really just sit in my thoughts, meditate on what I'm feeling, really just open up my Bible and be like, okay, what does God's word say about this? Like, how should I feel right now? Like, God, would you just bring me peace to my mind? Like, literally, and asking him that, because I feel like we just need to be real on here and like, it's okay. Like, it is okay. Like, trust me, as someone who, I feel like there's so much more, and like, I am almost like running out of time. Like, the fact that I've been recording for like 52 minutes, like, it's crazy to me. But yeah, like, there was just so much more that I literally need to talk to you guys about. And I've honestly loved this recording this like solo episode, because it's just been something where I feel like I've been able to just digest my feelings and also share with you guys on so many different things. Well, last thing before we're done is I just want to say I hope that this episode bless you. I hope that, you got to listen to this and feel like you are going to go find, your purpose, go find new hobbies, go find new friends, go find a new environment. Go and like, don't be in a rush to figure things out. Like, that is my issue sometimes. Like, I want to know, we live in a generation where everything is just instant gratification. Like, we want, the microwavable results, which, if you don't know what that means, it's like, we want things like right away. Like, we want success right away, and we're not even willing to put in the work. We want to be speaking on a platform, but we're not willing to, speak at a smaller, group of in front of 10. So like, be willing to put in the work. And yeah, I just hope that this episode blessed you. And I'm sorry if you thought that my thoughts were all over the place. I think, honestly, I jotted down like the things that I wanted to talk about, and I feel like we kind of just went back and forth on a lot of things. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Please, if you want to message me or email me, email pursuingyouPodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions or any topic suggestions that you would love for me to talk about. And I will get back to you. DM me on Instagram, Isabella Arias with 3 L's. I recently changed it just because I wanted it to match up with my TikTok. And yeah, and if you guys could just leave a review on this podcast, that would also bless me so much. But yeah, guys, I hope you have a great week, and I am so excited because there are about to be such fun guests on the show. We have Lacey Abercrombie, Hannah Gronowski, and a couple other ones that I cannot wait to share. But all right, guys, have a great day. Bye.